Welcome back to Finance Uncut. On today's episode, gold, silver, and commodity boom ahead. Well, you guys have spoken. I saw the comments from this last video I did, and you have asked me to do a video on how I'm investing for what I believe we're going to face this decade. And I've entitled this video, Gold, Silver, and Commodity Boom Ahead, because that's what I think we're going to face. And I think that this is the best way for us to invest and protect ourselves. Just protect ourselves, but also profit from the craziness that's going to happen. And let's kick this video off first by cutting to a clip with the oil guru himself and the commodity guru himself, Mr. Art Berman.
The correlation between the price of oil and inflation in the U.S. is so tight you can't even stand it. I mean,
really,
which is another way of saying that there are many causes for inflation. But if I had to choose the most important one, it would be the cost of energy. And that makes total sense back to where we started this conversation. That
here we go. Is this maybe I think I might have just given us something for the viewers just to kind of get an idea of what you're talking. Oh, shoot, it's not pulling up here. It's probably too small, but can you see this? We got crude oil compared to U.S. Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, that's the correlation.
So, I mean, that's an annual kind of deal. I mean, if I could share my screen, I could show it to you. But it's a killer, an absolute killer correlation.
Yeah, right.
And that's what you'd expect. I mean, if the cost of energy is going up, and the latest data point was 6.2% was the last U.S. inflation rate. And what's inflation been for the last 5 years? Has it been 1%? I mean, so we've got a spectacular increase in inflation, which, I mean, we just said it and showed the data. The weekly price of oil was $3 in April of 2020, and now it's almost 75. So, when the price of energy goes up, the cost of everybody's doing business goes up. And therefore, the cost of goods and services goes up, and that's what's called inflation. And so the economies of the world are starting to slow down because of inflation.
So in the last year, one of the commodities that I have been bullish on, and I've shared this, is coal. And for really the last 18 months, I've been buying into coal companies. And I did this video called $2 million profit on this commodity trade, where I shared how I bought about $200,000 worth of Peabody shares, and just in 12 months I'd sold them and made a $2 million profit on that. But I also traded and sold cover calls along the way. So if you want to hear more about coal and what I think of it and whatnot, check out this video. I'm not going to go into this again in this video, but I'll put a link in the description below to this video. If you just haven't watched it, do so. The first half of the video is where I talk about this particular trade and my attitude towards coal, and also a short position that I did on another commodity. And so, look, with coal, I'm investing in coal throughout this decade. I think prices are going to be high, and especially companies are going to produce a lot of free cash flow. I can tell you the coal companies that I still own today have sold out all their production this year and now into 2023. So they're fully booked out. Everything that they mined has already been pre-sold. Now, I've sold my Peabody shares, so I don't own them, but I still own a couple of other coal stocks that I bought some time ago at 1.8 times earnings. Those stocks have risen up quite a bit, had quite a good run. I haven't sold them because they're producing really high dividends, and they haven't run up like Peabody did. Am I buying coal at these prices? No, but if there's any pullback on these stocks, I'll definitely add more to these positions. But check out this video, especially the first half of the video, if you want more info on how I've invested in coal. Now, I did this video a little while ago, $173 trillion commodity boom ahead. Paul Tudor Jones here, billionaire, talking about the commodity boom ahead. And actually, a recent article has just said that actually this commodity boom is likely to be closer to $300 trillion. And if inflation is worse, well, maybe even more. So I did a video on this recently. And let's just cut to that clip now. And coming in from Forbes, inflation hits 15%, fossil fuels boom, and a hypersonic Cold War starts. Here are the predictions for 2022. So William Nordhaus, a Yale professor and recipient of the 2018 Nobel Prize in Economics, estimates it would take between $100 trillion and $300 trillion in new capital on a global basis to reach net zero emissions by 2050. Inflation could increase this estimate dramatically, forcing governments to delay, pause, or completely abandon all the climate pledges they made in 2021. Now, I've spoken many times on this channel how Doug Casey has had a big influence on me, and in particular his book, Crisis Investing. And so I put together a video about this book and some of the lessons that I learned out of it. And I put it in a video, and so I definitely recommend you guys watch it. And actually, what's funny is I don't have many views on this video yet. This is one of my favorite videos I've ever done. In fact, when I look at my channel, my favorite videos that I've done that I think have the best value and education in them are probably the ones with the least amount of views, the ones that have got kind of between 1,000 and 4,000 views. A couple have got 10,000 views, but it's funny, the ones that actually have all the big views, they're not my favorite videos. And I also recently did this video, The Real Silver Squeeze, with Rick Rule, where once again I just share why I'm so bullish on silver, and why for me I see silver moving to triple digits. So $100 silver, that's my target. So all these other targets and whatever, the $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 targets that you hear, and I've done some videos on that, but they haven't been my targets, and we've just discussed that on this channel. But I do see triple digit silver, and probably in the next few years we'll see that. But even if that doesn't happen, even if silver stays around today's price, the move that we're expecting in the mining and exploration sector is huge. And in this video we talk about how really investment in this space only needs to go back to mean, which is about 3 times higher, and we're going to see some good gains. But some of my investments over the years in this sector have been when the gold and silver price has been smashed down. But those miners, found high grade or large amounts of deposits. So why am I very bullish in the silver space? Well, watch this video. I'm not going to go into it in detail. I've already done a video on it. So once again, I'll put a link in the description below. Now, one of the videos that I did early on in this channel, and you can see if you watch this one, how I look a little bit different. The hair's a bit shorter back here, and the sound quality and whatnot is a bit different. But I did this video called Investing in Gold, Silver Miners and Explorers, where I share how I guess, do my research, what I'm looking for, how I value especially the exploration stage, those miners. And so one of my early videos, and it's just, once again, it's a tutorial on, if for those of you who don't have experience in this space, I definitely recommend watching this and start learning. I also have a link in here to Shay Russell, who also has a video just giving some really great pointers and education for people that don't have a lot of experience and knowledge in this space, but want to invest in this space. So once again, I'll put a link in the description below. And something I don't usually do is actually give you guys some actual silver stocks that I own. And once again, in this video, I actually share some of my own holdings and why I own those stocks. And once again, not financial advice, and I don't recommend you guys going out and buying them and all that. I don't do that on this channel. But yeah, I just wanted to share some of the stocks that I do own and why I own them. So yeah, check this video out. And for those who prefer gold, I did this video, Get Rich with These Gold Stocks. Very similar to the previous video, Get Rich with the Silver Stocks. I just share some of the gold stocks that I own and why I own them and why I'm quite excited about their potential, no matter what the underlying gold and silver price does. Now, I know not many of you have watched this video, how you can print money just like Buffett. So if you guys want to know how I trade, okay, and my trading makes up a big portion of my income, and it's one of the things I love the most, my trading strategy. And once again, in this video, it's an education video. How does Warren Buffett trade? Well, Buffett and I trade very, very similar. We use very similar. We sell options. We sell options for income. That's what we do. And so if you guys want to know how I trade and how I earn 2 to 3% a month, very conservatively, on stocks that I own. If you own stocks, why not generate some more income on those stocks that you own? So if you want to know how I trade, once again, I'll put a link in the description below. Watch this video. And this was the second part to that trading video, Wall Street Secrets Banks Don't Want You to Know. And in here, I talk about a buddy of mine who was a successful trader on Wall Street, and basically what I learnt from him and how I use a lot of what he talks about in my trading strategy, and then I talk about how you can use your own home loan to generate wealth while paying it down really quickly. So if you want to know, if you want to know about this, watch that first video. Watch the last video first. That will give you an introduction and understanding on what are options and what are covered calls and naked puts and whatnot. And then watch this one where it's a little bit more sophisticated in the first part of the video, and then we go into that second part about how to use your home loan to build wealth and pay down your mortgage at the same time. So you've seen the video from Art Berman there, and I've shared these charts before in 2 previous videos. And so oil and CPI are a very good correlation. And so I do think, based on the energy crisis and the movement, this ESG movement is going to cause higher oil prices. And in fact, fossil fuels or hydrocarbons are going to increase in price. And therefore, I see CPI rising. And then when you couple that with the currency supply growth, you can see the last 2 years, 25% and 12% is a US M2 currency supply. Now, I do see moving forward in this decade, so the financial system, the debt bubble is so out of whack and so out of control. I do see a move to central bank digital currencies. I do see a move towards MMT style, just funding everything via the central bank, UBI, all that sort of thing. So I think the currency supply is only going to grow, to grow. So with that in mind, that's why I believe we're going to see an inflationary decade ahead. We're going to see the purchasing power of our dollars decrease because we're creating so much more while we're destroying production, and the energy side of things is, in my view, going to be inflationary. And that's why I'm invested both in the hydrocarbon or fossil fuel sector, because that ain't going anywhere. We not anytime soon, and definitely not in the countries that are continuing to build new coal-fired power plants and gas plants as well. But so I found this chart quite interesting. Investor capital is pouring into commodity index ETFs early this year. So it seems that that flow is now starting to come out of the stock market, the growth, the high flyers, and is now moving into commodities, because I think people are starting to wake up. Investors are starting to wake up. I know I talked to some institutional investors, and they have been pulling capital out of the market for some time now, for several months now. And yeah, so this looks very interesting. Net zero will be a bonanza for Australian minerals, says IMF. And Australia is in pole position to benefit from a six-fold increase in demand for so-called critical minerals worth $12.9 trillion over the next 2 decades, driven by the race to hit net zero emissions, according to analysis from the IMF. So I believe that is the case, and that's why I'm very heavily invested in the commodity sector and critical minerals. So let's have a look. Which minerals am I bullish on most? So I shared this chart before. So this is the amount of metal needed for storage necessary for renewable power grid and to replace current automotive fleet with EVs. And yeah, the one that I'm very bullish on is copper. Also now with the socialist communist government in Chile, I think it's likely that they will nationalize a lot of mines down there. A lot of copper comes from there. I think we're going to see, and the interesting thing is we haven't over the last decade been drilling and exploring for new copper mines. Copper is pretty much a gold copper mine, so it's a byproduct really. But the demand for that, if you have a look at how much of that is needed for this transition, it's really, really insane. And even though the price of copper has been stagnating this year, definitely, I'm buying companies, especially explorers in this space. And actually, my video, Get Rich with These Gold Stocks, one of those stocks has actually found a lot of copper, and you'd probably say that stock is more of a copper stock than a gold stock now. But nickel is another one, cobalt, lithium. Lithium has had a massive run up in price, but it really, that isn't a big factor. What I look for here is actual companies, well-run companies that are trading below their net present value. I look at, for the miners, I look at their free cash flow and what their all-in sustaining costs are, what their balance sheet looks like, and the management, of course. What's their experience in running companies, and that's even more important in the exploration space. But these are the companies, or these are the minerals that I'm very bullish on, as well as zinc, to be honest. And zinc, zinc is no one's talking much about zinc, but I actually own a company that has actually found a lot of zinc. They're a zinc company, but they found a lot of nickel, a lot of silver, some copper as well, and some other metals. And they're based in Europe, and they are situated where they're going to, the smelters are just down the road, so that's fantastic. But they've also got these big dams nearby, and so they're building a hydro power plant. And so this mine is going to be the first mine powered by 100% by hydro energy. And so I believe we're going to see a lot of capital because of the ESG movement. This is going to be the first real green mine, and so I think we're going to see a lot of capital flow into that. A very well run business, and so that's another one that I've got there. Just I'm very bullish also rare earths, and once again it's because of where I see demand moving forward. So hybrid and electric vehicle engines, generators and wind turbines, hard disk, portable electronics, cell phones, they all use the magnets and elements from rare earths. So this role in technology makes their mining and refining a point of concern for many nations, and we've heard that from a security point of view. And that's because 1 megawatt of wind energy capacity requires 171 kilos of rare earths. A single US F-35 fighter jet requires about 427 kilos of rare earths, and a Virginia-class nuclear sub uses nearly 4.2 tons. And when we look at the different countries that mine production have reserves of rare earths, obviously China is the top there. They have about 44 million reserves. They produce about 140,000 tons of it a year, which is about 38% of total reserves. You then got Vietnam and Brazil next with about 18% of total reserves, or about 22, 21 million. Russia with 10%, India with about 6%, and Australia 3.5%. So just over 4 million tons in reserves there. And a company that I own just this morning, as of recording, I'm recording this on the 10th of the 1st, Monday, 10th of the 1st. A company that I own, Kingfisher Mining, they just announced that they have found a significant high-grade rare earth discovery. And so their share price is up about 16% just on today's trading. So I'm very happy with that position. Also, things like platinum. They've got some issues with semiconductors at the moment, but moving forward, I do think over this decade, platinum will do very well as well. But uranium and natural gas. So what I believe we're going to see this decade, or in the years ahead, is uranium and natural gas, which has been, bashed around, but I think that is going to be reclassified as green energy. I think we're going to see that. I know a lot of the former environmentalists, greenies that used to protest against uranium are now actually saying, we need uranium. We need nuclear energy as baseload power. If we're genuine about CO2 being the issue, then we need uranium, and natural gas is obviously, once again, if you agree that CO2 is the bad boy, and I don't and that's that's from my own studies and reading and studying many scientists, but we can agree to disagree on this point. But natural gas is much cleaner than coal. So, and we need baseload power. Unfortunately, all the so-called green energy is just not going to produce the energy that we need for normal life, let alone a growing economy. And you know what? By 2030, so all this investment, I'm investing for this decade, because I think we could see by 2030 inflation ripping apart people's lives around the world. Farmers are going to get ripped off, the whole CO2 thing. And I think people are just going to go, I think there's going to be a pushback at some point. And, so I think this may not go on and on and on, put it that way. So I'm definitely more short term on this stuff, but definitely uranium and natural gas as well. You can throw on that. And so here you see this chart of copper and nickel. So this is the historical production of what we're producing in nickel and copper. Now, if we do go to this net zero scenario, this is the expected production, or what's needed, and then the stated policy scenario. So there's going to be a lot more copper and nickel needed if we go into this net zero scenario. And I think the supply issue is, there's going to be a big supply issue there. But the other thing, that going back to energy, uranium, China is going nuclear. China over the last year revealed that their plans for nuclear, their ambition, given the global energy crisis, and calls coming out from COP26 last year. China's planning at least 150 new reactors in the next 15 years, more than the rest of the world has built in the last 35 years. So, and if you think about it, over the last 30 years, China produced no nuclear energy, and today they're talking about 4xing their nuclear capacity by 2035. So on one side, you have a rapidly growing demand for uranium, and for years and years to come. And on the other, you have a rapidly shrinking supply as existing mines are becoming depleted. And there's no new supply coming online anytime soon. And that's the same thing really with copper. Probably not in such large quantities. And that's probably why you're seeing, Sprott moving into the uranium space. He sees the fundamentals like me. And all of this, this inflationary decade ahead, and the way the financial system is, and moving to MMT. And like I said, if we have central bank digital currencies where the central bank can, convert its reserves to legal tender, and or even if it isn't, even if it's still just a quasi kind of monetizing federal deficits, and federal deficits are spending directly into the economy through UBI or whatever, then Dr. Lacey Hunt says he jumped straight over to the hyperinflationary bandwagon. And that's where gold and silver is really going to come into their own. And that's why I'm very, very bullish gold and silver moving forward. And why I think we're going to see much, much higher price. I think we're going to see triple-digit silver. All right, so let's wrap this video up. So how am I investing for this gold, silver, and commodity boom ahead? Well, I am investing in food producers. So in the last 12 months, I've had Benji do some work for me, and I've found some good food producers, some grain companies, some health food and product providers, rice and fish. That's where I've invested in that food and agricultural place, fertilizers. Yes, also just as preparedness, and I've said this before, I'm not a prepper, but just what I've been seeing in the last 18 months or so, the direction the world's moving. I have bought 4 months worth of ration food, which lasts about 23 years. I've got large drums of water. I've got gold, silver, and cash safely secured nearby if I need it. If the financial system goes down, we have a cyber attack. If all these things happen, I've got some secure there. I've also got gold and silver stored in a vault in near the major city I've got. Also got some in storage on the other side of the country. I've also got some internationally as well. But then I also own multiple private businesses for cash flow. And this is something I recommend people do. We've seen a lot of people that right around the world, but here in Australia, a lot of people lose their jobs because they want to have bodily autonomy, okay, and make a choice on their own medical, treatments, and so they've lost their job. And this is why I think it's so important to have a business, to be self-employed, and so if you have lost your job, think about starting a business. Or if you do have a job and you're not liking where things are going, I recommend start a business. Start it as a side hustle. I run multiple businesses, and they're all produce really good cash flow. The one thing I haven't done yet that is on my to-do list is move to a farm outside the city. Now, yesterday I went for a drive, which is about 2.5 hours outside of the city where I live, to a small country town, and I had a look at some farmland there, and that ticks a lot of boxes, but I've got a few other places to look at as well. So moving outside of the city is one of the things that I'm yet to do, that I do recommend people consider, because growing your own food and being more self-sufficient, especially if you don't agree with some of the things that are coming our way, like central bank digital currencies, digital ID, social credit score, all that sort of stuff. It's going to be very hard for people who believe in liberty and freedom like I do. But moving forward in terms of investments and whatnot, I also think we're headed for a boom in biotech. And biotech's been smashed in the last couple of years due to the cough, due to the and yeah, but I'm heavily invested in the biotech sector, and I've got experience in this sector. I've shared in other videos that I bought a company called Certex, did extremely well. I bought in at $1.70, was sold out in the $7 region. However, that stock went to $42. And I'm heavily invested in another stock very similar to Certex. However, I think it has a much better device and has much better capabilities moving across different cancers. This one is focused at the moment on pancreatic cancer, which we know there's no cure and it's a death sentence for. And so I'm very bullish this, and a lot of the management running this company is the old management over at Certex. So I'm very heavily invested in the biotech sector. I've got a few other biotechs that I'm very bullish on as well. But I'm very selective in that space. There's certain values that I have, so I won't invest in certain companies no matter how good their potential or their share price will go. There's certain things I just won't touch because of my values. Moving forward, also I'm bullish. Countries like India, Indonesia, Russia. Russia's probably the best country in the world in terms of their balance sheet and their financial position. They're a very rich nation with the commodities that they have as well. So Tanzania, very bullish Tanzania as well. Probably in Africa, they're the country that I'm most bullish on. And in the West, to be honest, Australia, yeah, not bad. Japan's got some issues, but I also like Japan because they produce things, and their companies over there have got next to no debt and produce really good cash flow and are running on pretty decent multiples. So, yeah, not bad there. In terms of my portfolio, I break it down into different parts. So I have a part of my portfolio which is for option selling, and I run that like a business. So whether it's naked puts, whether it's covered calls, or spreads, I treat that as a business, and that's just a portion of my portfolio, and that just produces cash flow, which I just reinvest. I don't need it because I've got cash flow coming out elsewhere. I then have a portion of my portfolio in longer term value dividend paying stocks. I have a portion in growth stocks, although that's pretty small at the moment, that portion. And I have a lot of small cap positions. No small caps are at the moment broken up between gold, silver, hard and soft commodities, and biotech. So that's where my small cap positions are mainly at. My longer term value stocks, they're kind of diversified a lot also in the gold space as well. And yeah, that's pretty much my portfolio. That's how I'm investing for this. So go back and watch those videos that I've already done. I'll put links in the description below, and you'll get a good understanding as why I'm investing in these sectors and what I look for and how I'm investing. So if you really want to learn more, go watch those videos, and check out the links in those. Anyway, that's it for me. Love to see your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. If you like this video, please hit that like button. We really do appreciate it. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you again on another episode of Finance Uncut.